Let's go through this. I love this report that came out from the Centre of Independent Studies. It takes me back to the old days when you'd do a science degree or a law degree or an arts degree, and at the end, if you decided not to be a scientist, you could go back and do a one-year dip ed, Chris, and you could teach. And you'd often have a better teaching qualification having got into science, and perhaps if you'd gone straight from school and got into teaching with its lower ATAR scores. Well, there's now a real push to go back to that because we dropped the one-year dip ed. We require people to do a 2-year master's course in teaching. We found there was a 23% drop in the number of people turning up as, post-university teachers. They want to reverse this trend. We want more teachers. We want better teachers. I think it's a great move.
Yeah, we need better teachers because all the literature around the world in education says the better the teacher, the better the outcomes for individual students and classrooms in general. That's the aim. And, yes, I can see the merit in this, Peter, but I fear that maybe this isn't the way forward. I'd like to see teachers paid the equivalent of what some of our most responsible professionals get paid for, almost as much as doctors. It is that important, and we have plateaued for 18 years in this country on educational results compared with international standards. I think we can do a whole lot better. I don't know whether this is the answer. I can see the merit. I don't know whether it's going to make a lot of difference. Pay the teachers what they deserve, and I think they deserve a lot more than what they're getting.
I'll go even tougher on you than that. I don't think it's so much about teacher pay. I went to a tiny school. There were 6 kids in my class and they were nuns. They weren't paid anything at all. But the junk wasn't in the curriculum then. I mean, it was absolutely the bare basics of arithmetic and spelling and grammar and all of that sort of stuff that they don't teach now. I think the basics back in the curriculum, all the junk stripped out, would do a hell of a lot better. Hey, James, you've written a great piece today that says Peter Dutton could learn from the New South Wales Labor opposition leader, Chris Minns. What can he learn?
Well, look, I mean, just for people who may not be in New South Wales, Chris Minns is probably the most effective opposition leader in the country, and he is in striking distance of Dom Perrottet, who's a very, very capable premier here in New South Wales. But what has he done? He has been out there selling his message on the front foot, communicating, driving policies that attract people beyond just, the Labor left true faithful, on everything from speed camera sign warnings to mobile phones in schools, all sorts of basic state issues that people are really concerned about. And I think the Perrottet government have been on the hop with that. You compare that to Peter Dutton, who I think a lot of his approach has been to just sort of sit back, don't put himself out there too much and wait for things to get bad next year, as we were talking about earlier, like with interest rates and everything else, and then wait for people to start to come his way. Well, I don't think that's going to be good enough for the Liberals. They're going to have to really mount a positive case, as we saw in Victoria and as we've seen in other states. You can't just go negative on what the other people did, as important as that is, and they didn't go negative enough in Victoria, I'd argue, but they've got to, have a real positive vision for what they want to achieve. And I think Peter Dutton needs to get more of that moxie to get up and go and really, push that message out to the people and let people know who he is.